Well, I'm here to talk about my baby sister. And today's pretty cold right now. So a toe that I broke like when I was like 20, 21 years old is hurting as if it was broken again. uh, Happens every time the weather gets cold now. So that sucks. So a lot of things I've discovered like will start hurting in the cold weather when you start aging. It's really weird. I didn't think it would happen that soon or that early, but here I am, 30 years old, and I don't like it when the weather gets cold in my hips or my knees or my toe or my nose. Apparently, I guess when you break a bone, or at least when I break a bone and the weather gets cold, it'll feel like it's broken again. Um, Sorry, sometimes my ADHD's been acting up a little more than usual lately. Not really sure why my mind is so hype. Um, And I guess I'm gonna try to go back on the subject of my baby sister. Um, Today was just the typical day so far. I finally got up out of my room after I tried warming up because it's cold. And it wasn't cold yesterday. It was nice and warm, so I had my AC on, so now I woke up with I'm freezing, so like I'm trying to huddle up in my blanket and well, now I have the air conditioner off and I've got a little heater on. Hopefully, gonna warm up my room pretty soon because it's cold in here. But after I was done trying to get my body temperature back up, I went out in the kitchen and, it was just the usual day. Um, I walk out there, my sister is plopped up on the couch and scrolling through her phone. I don't know what she's looking at. I assume probably costumes or Facebook. And at some point, she's watching YouTube. I know that only because she started watching a video. So I was at least figuring out that much. But her typical use of that phone is looking for other costumes for my mom to buy her. Um, and going on Facebook and going on YouTube. Honestly, I don't know. I think my sister might. I don't know if she's slightly addicted or something, but she definitely has a thing for that YouTube. I don't know if it's the same or if it used to be worse, but I mean, she just seemed to be on there like all the time. And there was a one point where my family had limited gigs, and my sister was using up all the gigs on the phone, just from watching YouTube. Um, But, my mom, she can't have her little baby go without something, so she, of course, demanded my dad buy more gigs so that my sister can continue watching YouTube. And I guess apparently that was enough gigs. She finally stopped using them all up. At least that I know of. I haven't heard of it since then. Uh, then again, soon after that, we each kind of got our own new phones, so my sister was able to watch YouTube as much as she wanted now and not use up anybody else's gigs anymore. Um, and forgive me if I'm not using the right technical terms. I really am not savvy with technology. But I think I remember them saying gigs and that she was using them up. So if it's not called gigs, forgive me. But that's what I think I remember hearing. So just forgive me, I'm not technology savvy, so if I'm not using the right term, forgive me. Um, yeah. So, but this, as I said, this is our typical day. My sister is on the couch. I mean, all the time. She's on the couch all the time, and that is all she ever does is on her phone. And that's looking for costumes or on Facebook or YouTubing. If she's doing anything, oh wait, she also plays some games. And I don't always know which she's doing, but she's always on the phone. I mean, always. Um, and this is the crazy part. Her mom will sit there and accuse me of doing everything that they do. And one of them is being obsessed with my phone. Um, though I'm the one that can put my phone down long enough to do the kitchen and the living room and pick things up. Um, even clean my own bathroom and my own room. I admittedly do not go clean anything else simply because I'm really tired of being taken advantage of all the time and nobody helping me with anything. So I don't go in my sister's room. To me, that's her responsibility. I'm not going to go in there and take care of it, even though it can look a really bad mess. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty with having my room a mess from time to time. Of course I am. Nobody's perfect. But I do eventually tidy it up. And I do clean up that kitchen and that living room. So it's like, I'm not lazy. I pick up stuff. But to me, their room is a representation of what they're like, period. They don't clean the living room, they don't clean the kitchen, they don't do nothing. Um, I also do not go and clean my parents' room. Um, Neither do I go clean their bathroom or my sister's bathroom. Um, Pretty much I only clean the stuff that other people might see if they were ever to come, because my family doesn't really let people over. But, I still clean that area because I feel like, that's a space I share with them. So that's partly a representation of myself. So I do keep that cleaned up. Um, I keep my room for the most part tidy. I would not say that it's perfect, but I wouldn't say that it's a total mess either. Um, my bathroom, I also keep pretty well organized. Um, in my bedroom, please try to keep in mind that I do a lot of arts and crafts and artwork, so, keeping it completely tidy is really impossible. Because you get pencils here and there. Like, if you're an artist or you do any arts and crafts, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, you just tidy up as best as you can. You get storage drawers, anything you can, just to keep things organized. And yet, your room is probably slightly as creative as you are. um, Sorry, back onto the subject of my baby sister. There is a reason I say she's a spoiled little brat. Um, for one, there has been more than one occasion where she will say, "Excuse me," but she won't wait for me to move out of her way. Sorry. She will literally shove me out of her way while she's saying "excuse me," as if because she said "excuse me" it made it okay to completely just shove me and disregard any respect for me as a human being. Um, she has said very nasty, mean things to me. In particular, because she didn't want me to come to the local theater and perform like she was performing. Um, she's told me literally that she's embarrassed of me and my autism, and she does not want me there embarrassing her, and she just wants to get away from me with my Asperger's. And that is something very nasty and cruel and mean you could say to anybody. Um, and it hurts because I'm not a nasty person. I'm not mean. I mean, sure, I've got little quirks, and some of those quirks involve because I have to wash my hands a lot because I'm a little bit kind of germophobic. Like, even when I went out to dinner with my friend last night and some of our other friends, um, I had to go wash my hands before I ordered or ate anything, and that's simply because I just feel a necessity to wash my hands sometimes. Even if my hands are completely fine, I will feel like I have to. So, it's not something that's going to hinder me from having relationships. It's not something that's going to destroy my friendships. It's just a little, awkward thing about me. um, you know, um, if I'm honest, and yeah, I'm about to swear for anybody who doesn't like swearing. I'm only warning them because I know some people it's just normal. You're like, why are you warning me you're about to swear? Well, there's quite a few people out there that really don't like swears. So, I try to be respectful of that. And, yeah, so my sister I think she's just kind of a bitch. And, you know, that's just really messed up to say something like that to a person, absolutely demeaning me as a human being and good qualities about myself. And because you have some sort of an ego that you want to have all the attention and you don't want anybody else having it. Um, so you say the nastiest, cruelest thing you can say to somebody just so you can hurt them and just so you can keep them away from your limelight of attention. Yeah, so pretty much I think that's just, evident right there to my sister's actions that she's just a spoiled little brat and she's honestly a bitch. And it's not just because she said it to me. If she said something like that to another person, I would still be very much like, what the hell is your problem? And not much will get me, ticked off with a person, but that's one of them. When you're demeaning somebody because of their disabilities, that's just messed up. That would be like me getting mad if I had a friend that had to walk with a crutch or something and be like, well, your crutch embarrasses me and I don't want you here because I don't want to deal with you and your limping. Nobody, not even, I don't think the average person would say something like that. I don't think the average person is that messed up. It takes somebody who's really cold. um, so yeah, and she has said nasty things like that to me, as well did my brother before. Um, and my mom never stopped this behavior. I mean, they act like I'm broken and that I deserve any cruel thing said to me. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure how to place this, to describe how messed up I think that is for them to say things to me just because I have Asperger's. Um, and absolutely have no remorse. I think it just shows all the more how messed up it is that they have no remorse. Even I, as a person, with what people consider a learning disability, I have remorse. I have sympathy. I have empathy. I will, I'll hug people. I'll be there for them. I'll let them cry. And, I never belittle them. I say nothing cruel or mean or demeaning. Yet my family feels they have a right to say something so cruel and messed up to me simply because I do have Asperger's, as if that makes it okay. Kind of like when my sister shoves past me, but she says, "Excuse me," like it's okay to demean me and show no respect for me as a human person because she said, "Excuse me." To me, it's just the same concept, just much more messed up and much more cruel. Um, Saying such mean, cruel things simply because I have Asperger's, like that's their excuse. Um, I did not choose to have Asperger's. I did not wake up one morning and choose it like it's a lifestyle. It is a part of me. I don't think it hinders me as a person having relationships or caring for others, which I think shows all the more why it is so sad that my family can do that if they themselves do not have what people consider a learning disability, yet they could be so cruel. Yet I can have a learning disability and still know how to use my heart, and they have lack thereof. To me, that shows just how messed up that is. Um, so yeah, I wanted to share that, and I'm not really sure how much more I can go into explaining it. I am using the best words I know how for right now. Uh, I'm sure anybody that knows better would agree with me and think that's really messed up, but if you don't think that's messed up, then, uh, well, if I'm honest, I think you have a problem. And that's sad that I would need to find better words to even explain to you, because I think anybody with a genuinely good heart won't need explaining why that's wrong. But if anybody needs explaining why it's wrong, then I think all the more I've made my point that there's something wrong with you, because to have such a lack of empathy, it's to me it's more than just somebody having a learned disability or not having a learned disability. It has to do with that person's character and heart. And that's sad when somebody can't see how wrong that is to treat somebody with such humiliation and disrespect and, just like they're not human, so they don't have feelings, like their tears are all programmed like a robot and not real. When you can't react to that, there's something wrong. And my sister, I was bawling when she said that to me, and she just stood there looking at me like, if I'm honest, yeah, I'm about to swear again. So just warning for those ahead that don't like swearing. She was just looking at me like I was a piece of shit. Um, so these are reasons right here why I think my sister really is a spoiled brat. Um, I mean, I get up every day and I clean the living room and I clean the kitchen. Um, and I clean up after her too. A lot of times I have to grab her dishes as well as my mom's dishes from the living room and some of my dad's dishes. Yes, as well from the living room. And I have to, put them in the sink. And then I have to pick up my sister's shoes and my mom's shoes and their socks. And a few of my sister's costume things sometimes. Like today, I had to pick up one of her beaded satchels. And a satchel is like a tiny little purse or a handbag that you hold. And, one of her hand fans that go with her costume. Sorry, I yawned. And then pick up papers that have fallen onto the floor because we have cats, and nobody in this house but me picks up after anybody or anything. So I just have to pick up papers again and again. Sometimes I get really tired of it and I just throw it in a basket and hope my family will deal with their papers. But they don't. They still sit there for a while and then eventually decide to get to it. And then I get to the kitchen and I'm grabbing up more dishes off of the counters and the stove and the wherever else I left them, and I gotta put them in the sink, and then I have to go look at my parents' room to make sure that there's no dishes in there too. And then I get to the kitchen and just kind of pick up the counters, pick up food that was left out, and put it back up, and I pick up um trash and other things that have been left out, and I just have to put it back up where it belongs. And when I say stuff, I just mean it could be anything like my baby sister's costumes. Um, I almost said her name again. Trying to refrain from doing that. But when you use their name on a daily basis, it's kind of difficult not to say it. But yeah, I have to pick up some my baby sister's things and just stuff in the kitchen. Like things that got left in there for some reason. Um, Sometimes my mom and my sister's purses. And I usually just set that at the on the end table in the living room because that seems to be where they leave their purses. So I guess that's where they want it. So I used to put it in the room, and sometimes I still, but sometimes I still do, but then sometimes I just leave it at the end of an end table for them. Um, and so yeah, and I guess that's what makes it all the more difficult for me emotionally when they say just really mean and messed up things because it's like I feel very, very underappreciated. I feel very much so taken advantage of, and I feel like in their eyes I am just a worthless piece of shit that is not worth even giving me any dignity. Because, here I am cleaning up after them, and I keep my own room clean and my bathroom clean. Though my baby sister's room can be a total mess, she leaves her costumes through costume stuff in the living room, leaves her shoes out there, as well as my mom and my dad leave stuff out there, yet they feel it is okay to say such cruel, messed up things to me. They feel it is okay to say that they're embarrassed by me for having Asperger's. It's like, how in the world do you feel embarrassed by me? I think you should be feeling more embarrassed by yourself. No offense, but if you're throwing a tantrum because you want to have all the attention and you don't want anybody even getting a little bit, you don't want me singing, you don't want me performing, you don't want me doing nothing because you say you want to have your own independence from me. But in actuality, you don't gain any independence. You still have mom taking care of you, and you have me taking care of the house for you. So pretty much that's just an excuse that you just want attention, and you don't want me going anywhere getting any attention. You, and you throw a tantrum to the point you say mean and cruel things just because I might get some attention. Um, you're just being a spoiled little brat then. And she so I think it'd be like I think you should be more embarrassed of yourself rather than me. I mean, at least wherever we go, I'll help pick up things. I'll make myself useful. Um, and I don't mind giving other people attention. And in fact, that's what the whole purpose to me is about performing. It's not about me getting attention. It's about me giving attention. It's about me taking time to focus as people are stressed and they need a little entertainment to distress for a little bit. So it's for me giving attention, really. Um, yeah, so to me, that's what performing's about. It's for the audience, not me. And I enjoy every bit of it. I enjoy putting a smile on people's faces, and I enjoy, helping them feel relaxed for a moment. Um, so I do feel like that was really just spoiled of my sister to do that. I felt like, she has no reason to be embarrassed by me. If anybody should be embarrassed of anything, it should be of her, of herself. You don't just say stuff like that to people. That's messed up. Um, and no, I have not really shared with anybody that she'd said that to me. Um, Not really sure why, but I haven't. But I'm sharing it now. So, yeah, I think my sister's behavior as well was taught. Um, and this is where I think parents, they unintentionally teach their kid things. I don't think that they purposely plan on making their children spoiled little brats. And I don't think they purposely dismiss their children as being spoiled little brats. Um, but, I do believe that the behavior was taught, though. I remember growing up, if my sister, like, once her and my little brother uh, got my toys, and I was perfectly fine with that. I wasn't angry at them wanting to play with my toys, but I did ask them, when you're done, please put them back up. Mostly because if they didn't, I was going to get in trouble with mom for leaving my toys out, which was pretty much just the norm of it. If I didn't put my toys up, I got in trouble. If I didn't keep an eye on my siblings, I would get in trouble. If my siblings were mad at me because I made sure they didn't wander off in the store when mom left me with them for a moment, I was in trouble. So you just kind of do the best you can, I think, growing up is what you do. Like, I could have just chose to let my siblings wander off because I felt like whatever, I'm gonna get in trouble anyway. But I actually did care about them and I loved them and I didn't want them lost or hurt or kidnapped. So yeah, choosing love, I did decide to make sure they didn't wander off in the store when they were left with me alone. And in particular, my baby brother was the one that would get just pissed off about this. Uh, and he would always say our other sister wouldn't do it this way. And I'm like, well, we're not the other sister. This is me. So we're gonna stay put here until mom comes back to the front of the store, so she doesn't panic because she thinks she lost us. And thank God that he get grumpy with me. But when my mom would get back to the front of the store and she'd see us, and my brother would get all cranky with and tell my mom how bossy I was to him and how agitated he was. I would still get in trouble. Like, why'd you make your brother angry? Like, he got angry because I told him we weren't going to wander off and, get to where you couldn't find us because that would upset you. So, either way, I was in trouble, but, I actually cared about my siblings, so I just chose to care about them. So that being an example right there, you can guess how my mom would react if she found toys on my floor in my room. Uh, and I didn't want to stop my siblings from playing with them because I wasn't like greedy and selfish, like, those are mine. But, so her and my brother played with the toys, and, um, they left them on the floor. They were there for a few hours, and, I confronted my baby sister. I was like, why did y'all not pick the toys up when y'all were done? I'm like, they need to be put back away. You're gonna get me in trouble. And this upset my sister very bad. She was like, well, we weren't done with them. And I'm just like, yeah, you were. You left them there for 3 hours. So please put them away. You can take them back out and get to playing with them again when you want to, but until then, please put them back up. You know, um, and my mom found out what was going on, and she just got mad at me. And I think that was one of the times I learned that no matter what, I was going to get in trouble. And, but that my siblings, in particular my baby sister and baby brother, literally could get away with doing anything. um, like if I had left my toys out, my mom would have been all up on me. Like, you put your toys away or I'm throwing them away. And yes, these are things she has said. Um, you put your things away or I'm throwing them all away. And, she has gone in my room before and started, bagging things up. So, this, it wasn't an empty threat. I think she did try to slow down, though, is to try to give me time to pick things up, but nonetheless, she would throw things away. Uh, and she had done that a few times. But my baby sister and baby brother, they could do this, and never were their toys being threatened to be thrown away. Never did my mom threaten to go in there and throw things away. Never did she even get onto them about leaving their toys everywhere. Um, so, yeah, they were not given responsibility as I was. And they did not get in trouble as I could get in trouble. And when it came to between me and them, it really didn't matter what the case or scenario was. I was in trouble. I was the one in my mom's eyes that did wrong. And so this is why I say I think the attitude of being a spoiled brat is unintentionally taught. I think my mom had a favorite, and she'll never admit that. And her favorite was my baby sister and my baby brother. So, naturally she was lenient towards them, which gave them a lack of responsibility. Um, and she did not really give them discipline as she would me and my other sister, which gave them a lack of consequence. So of course, they grew up and, they could say messed up things, cruel things, and do messed up things, and yet they won't have any remorse for it. And that's because that was the environment that they were given to be grown up in. There was no, hey, you took those toys out, you better put them away. That those are not your toys. That's not okay to disrespect other people's things. Uh, there was, well, they weren't done with them, so you should just get off their butts about it. Absolutely, totally disregard that they lifted out for 3 hours. They were done. Um, they had taken them out and left them there till dinner time. Uh, so yeah, and there's, and then she could say something that cruel and messed up to me, and of course, naturally, she felt no regard or remorse, or she felt no remorse for what she did, uh, because She wasn't told to say I'm sorry growing up. So why would she feel that she needs to say I'm sorry? I mean, I'm sure we've all met that one spoiled little brat before in our lives, and maybe not all of us, but I'm sure quite a few of us have. And you've probably seen how they'll say mean things to you or other people, and they have no remorse for it. They may not clean up after themselves in their work area hardly at all, but yet they feel very, very much so entitled to tell you you need to clean up your desk more, or uh, maybe even go as far to accuse you why their work area is a mess, um, rather than just take responsibility for it. Uh, that's probably because that's how they were raised. That is how they see life. That's how they view it. And the sad part is they really don't know they're spoiled. They don't know. And sometimes you get to know some of them and you're pretty sure you can tell they have a good heart inside them, but their view of reality is so obscure it keeps them from being able to actually connect to that heart and uh, be a better person and do some good in this world. They want to help the homeless, but they lack so much the drive and the um, organization it would take to make an organization to help them or join an organization to help them. Uh, because they also lack what's the word I'm looking for? Um, the desire to work, I guess, is all I can think to say. They lack so much to be able to accomplish these things that their heart says would be the right thing to do. And so they never accomplish any of that. And they'll always amount it to is that they don't have enough money or this or some other excuse, and they have no idea. It's really just them having a lack of desire to work for it, a lack of desire to stay organized. Um, so I'm sure there's some that understand what that's like, knowing someone who is really a spoiled brat, whether they be man, woman, or whatever. Um, and it's like they are literally clueless that they are spoiled. um, and I know the frustration then too of what it's like when they go as far as sometimes to blame you. It's like, what? Your desk is not my fault. Your work area is not my fault. Your bedroom, that is not my fault. uh, So I guess now you know a little bit about my baby sister and our background together and why I think she's such a spoiled brat. And you know, just how she is. How she was growing up and how she is now. It's not like she doesn't have a heart inside her that I know is capable of so much more. She does. She's got ideas of what she wants to do for people that are homeless. She's got ideas of things she wants to do for people that are, for animals that have been abused or strays. But, you know, at this rate, I don't think she understands the concept of how much work would need to go into it. I don't think she understands the concept of how much organization you need for something like that. I don't think she understands the concept of what it would take to do and achieve these tasks that she would like to do. Um, it'd be a lot of hard work. You'd have to find out how you're going to get money to keep that functioning, whether it be through donations or um, even finding people to sponsor you to help get in more donations. I mean, there would be a lot of work going into it. How to keep those sponsors, how to keep those donations coming. Um, and there would be a lot of challenges going into helping homeless because some of them are there because they're drunk, some of them there because they're drug addicts, and some of them there because they're have a disability and nobody hired them. So sorry about to swear, but in short, people were assholes, um, and petty and did not hire them. And some people that are there simply because they had a bad day that didn't end. And how that would be a challenge is because you'd have to work through and figure out how you're going to help these individuals individually. You know, how are you going to help the addicts get clean? Or would they not be able to come to this organization because you don't have those resources? So how would you find resources to send them to the right resources? And, there would be challenges, complications that you'd have to work through. And I don't think she understands that. I mean, she's going down to the stockyards and dressing up and getting pictures from people and getting tips, and that's it. Um, no paychecks, no payments. Uh, and going down to the local theater performing. And it just seems like she's literally expecting that this is going to lead her to stardom. Um, Such a very much so lack of reality that, yeah, it can lead you to stardom, but the likelihood is you're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to function in life like everybody else. Even though I have a disability and I'm on SSI, I'm not that ignorant. Even I know I have to work on finishing the tasks that I've set for myself so that I can, function in this world. It would be great if I could just write a book and um, have it get well known and, make a lot of money off of it. But I realize the likelihood is I'm going to have to learn to function in the world like everybody else. Um, Even if I did get a book, that if by chance that ever happened, though, I mean, that'd be awesome. But, if by chance that happened, I don't think I would still stop with my plans because, um, pretty much I like to better myself. I like to challenge myself to do better and be better. So I think I would probably carry on with my plans and getting a licensed job in my own place. uh, because that's a desire in myself I want to do. Um, and that being said, like it's a desire in myself I want to do. I think that's a very big part of why my sister doesn't stop being a spoiled little brat, doesn't stop, you know, having a lack of respect for me as a human being, doesn't stop uh, to think that she's going to need to do more in this world than just wear costumes and get tips. Because there's a lack of desire. There's a lack of desire to want to better herself. There's a lack of desire to want to achieve or do better. There's a pretty much a lack of desire. I think one has to have a lot of desire to achieve things. You gotta want it. You really gotta want it. You've gotta want it nearly like you want breath and you want to breathe. Um, and I'm pretty sure my sister really lacks that. Her and my mom pretty much talk about good ideas and things they want to do, but they both just seem to lack the drive to just do it. Um, and that's until my sister has some real serious help, I do not think she's going to be able to do things on her own. Simply because she lacks that drive, she lacks that desire. She's my sister. I can hope one day she'll eventually come through, but for now, clearly she's not going to move forward right now, and she has no desire to even try to do so. So for right now, I do believe she's stuck, which is sad because I love her, but you get it. I don't really have to ramble on anymore about her having a lack of desire, and I don't think she's going to move any forward right now. I think you get the point. So, yeah, there you have it. Uh, about my sister, and I think, it's very clear then why her behavior was learned. It was taught. Um, she wasn't told you did wrong. She wasn't ever told that, and I've been told that she's been told she was wrong a few times and just kind of cried a little bit. Um, but aside from that, not she really hasn't received any discipline. So you can take a good insight there of why she's a spoiled little brat. And I'm not saying spoiled little brat is a ways to be mean. I'm saying that more in terms of just facts. um, spoiled somebody who has lack of concept of consequences, somebody who has not really received discipline, an obscure view of reality, and a brat, somebody who's just not nice about it. Um, so, I mean that more so as a factual term and not trying to be mean. Um, and if anybody knows anything about autism or Asperger's, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about when I say factual. That is something about a lot of people with Asperger's or autism. Sometimes they speak in a very factual way and don't get jokes. Lucky for me, though, I do get jokes and I can I come up with my own. But as for when it comes to getting agitated or frustrated, I never say things like other people do out of the way just to jab somebody or hurt somebody. I'm saying it in a completely factual manner. If I say someone's a spoiled brat, I really mean it in a factual way. I know some people take that as an insult and they really want to lash out when they hear things like that, but just know when I say stuff like that, I mean it in a factual manner. So if I'm saying it, I'm not saying it to jab you. I'm saying it because I genuinely think you're a spoiled brat. I genuinely think you lack a lot of concepts and you had a lack of discipline and lack of consequences, and you, um, because of so, are a brat. You're not very nice. So when I say spoiled brat, that's what I mean. Um, so I do get jokes, and I say my own. I'm not. I'm high functioning, so. But yeah, but some do not understand jokes, and they don't understand figures of speech or gestures, and I do. Like I said, I just have little quirks. One of them is having to wash my hands, and another one would also be, if I'm upset, I can't really say jabs. Everything I say is completely honest, and I mean it. You may not like what I have to say, but at least I mean it. You can at least know that for sure. um. So yeah. Um. My family, though, is very much different. They want to hurt you, and they want to hurt you emotionally very, very bad. So, I can say I'm very different from them in that way. Um, When they're in an argument, they will say stuff out of spite. They want you to hurt. And I, on the other hand, when I say things that might be taken in a hurtful manner, what I'm really trying to help you see is you're hurting me. But with a family like mine, that's not very, um, it doesn't get to the results that I would like to see. Because, like I said, they want you to hurt. So for them, when I try to make known that they're hurting me, all they do is try to hurt me more. And they succeed in it very well, I might add. Usually I'm just crying and then I end up bawling and it never turns out well. Um, so yeah, this is, what it's like growing up for me and a little bit about my sister and what it's like between us. She's spoiled and she definitely much has an entitlement personality, and her and my mom will accuse me of being on the phone all the time, even though they're on the phone all the time, so they literally wouldn't even be able to see if I was on it. And I guess they just think the house magically cleaned itself because I'm off that phone and I clean the house. I honestly think, though, the whole pointing the finger and blaming me for being on my phone all the time, though, is uh, you might say it's a bit of verbal manipulation camouflage, as in, point their finger somewhere else so nobody is looking in their direction to see what they're doing. Um, so that's honestly what I would call it, is like a verbal manipulation camouflage. They're trying to point their finger at me and accuse me of things that I'm really not doing, because then it camouflages them and it hides them. So it's a form of manipulation. I don't think they actually think I'm on my phone all the time. I think they just say that so that it camouflages them. Because, as I said, a lot of people are sheep. They hear the first thing they hear and then they believe it. So, all I have to do is get on my phone one time and then point their finger and be like, you're on that thing all the time. And that's all people hear. Um, and, we could be out with friends and I may not even be on my phone. They may just say that she's on it all the time. And, I've learned some of my friends believe her, and I've learned some of them do not. I've learned a lot of people actually have seen right through her and took a lot of notice. And, I'm glad they do, because, and that's another subject. I'll probably get onto that later another time, but from right now, just to keep this video from getting any longer, even though it's nearly an hour already. I'm not gonna, get into that right now. Um, just that some people believe her and some do not. And I appreciate those that do not, because I had no idea that they could see something was going on until I opened up. Um, but yeah, I don't think they really believe I'm on the phone all the time. Um, I think they know very well that I'm not. I'm not going to say, though, that I haven't been on my phone, but I am definitely not nearly on it as much as my mom and my sister. When I say they're on it all the time, I sometimes mean they literally are on it all the time. Like, the moment I get up out of bed and I go to clean the kitchen and the living room and get things all done, they're just on their phone, clickety, 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 click, scroll, scroll, scroll. Um, and they'll stay there for hours, to be honest. I mean, hours. Um, I mostly get on my phone to check notifications on my Facebook and connect with friends, and then I'll get off. And when I'm cleaning, sometimes I'll listen to YouTube. I won't sit there and watch a video, but I'll listen to it. Uh, because I'm a dork and I like, listening to nerdy stuff. Like one of my favorites to watch is Beyond Science and Secure Team 10 and stuff like that. uh, so there's more I like watching, but uh, I'll listen to it. And I'll save when I have time to the videos that can only be watched, like Studio C. I'll save that time for when I have time to watch it like at the end of the day when I'm about to go to bed. Um, as for the rest, I usually am just listening to it. Uh, and that's usually not very many videos, so it's like maybe two or three. And so yeah, like I'll only watch the new videos that have been posted. So, about two or three, sometimes four. So not many. And then I'll do my chores while I'm listening to it. So I'm not going to say I am not on my phone, and I'm not going to say I'm not on it quite a bit sometimes. I am, but not to the point that my sister and my mom are, where there's no function. I am very much so functioning. I mean, I'm cleaning the kitchen and the living room and, just getting things done. And, um, yeah, my sister doesn't appreciate it. In fact, she acts like I do shit in the house and, um, just, takes advantage of that and points her finger at me about things I'm not doing that she is doing. And, um, also, pretty much, yeah, she takes credit for cleaning the house, and my mom will give it to her. My mom will say she takes care of everything and takes care of the family, even though my sister does nothing. I'm the one that cleans the house, and I don't even get credit for it. I'm not winning a parade or anything, but damn, that's very much so just revolting to me that my sister will sit there and take credit for cleaning the house when she does nothing, and act like I do shit. To me, that's just below wrong. And so, yeah, I think I've said all I would need to say to explain the environment with my family when it comes to me and my sister. My baby sister, that is. Um, I love her, I really do, but I, you know, okay, she makes life very frustrating and very difficult and very hard. And so does my mom, right along there with her, because they're feeding all this. And it's all a lie. And it's manipulative. And why does my mom do this? I don't know. Why does my sister do this? I think partly to stay in my mom's circle so that she can still keep getting what she wants. And I also think it's because she's spoiled. Um, but, I think they're both kind of manipulative and it's just wrong. It's really wrong. Uh, but yeah, so there's my life history with my sister and growing up with her. And um, even though she makes life really, really frustrating on some level, I really do pity for her. Mostly, I pity what I know will come because at some point she's not going to have a choice but to face reality. And, we've all seen how maybe not all of us, but I'm sure quite a few of us have seen how a spoiled brat reacts. Even if you've only seen that spoiled brat on TV and not in person, but I think quite a few of us have seen how they react when the reality hits. You know, some of them hit a really deep depression, and some of them throw tantrums, and some of them it's a little mix of both. And I know I'm going to help my sister. I have no doubt about that I would help her. I admit, though, I am a little worried about that day because I don't see her going about it peacefully. I do see her probably throwing a tantrum. I'm not sure about depressed. Maybe later on once the reality is hit, but I don't think I see her being depressed at first. I do see her perhaps throwing a tantrum because the reality will hit that she has to work. Um, the reality will hit that she actually needs a real job and needs to help around the house. And I don't think she's gonna like that. I don't think she's gonna like that at all. Um, which, makes me feel sorry for her because, I mean, to her, in her eyes, that is harsh. I mean, that which was owed to her, her adulthood, her maturity, her independence as a person and adult was never given to her. So that's why I feel bad for her because to her it will be a whole new world. At first she's not going to understand. It's just going to be an annoyance to her and she's going to think people and I are being really really mean to her and it may take a while or a few years before it really sinks in that this is just reality. You work and you get paid for your work and not everybody becomes a movie star. Not that you should let go of your dreams. If you want to become that, I think go for it. But, uh, remember to stay level headed. Remember to keep your logic because that's always healthy. I don't think it's bad to dream and to believe in that dream. I just think it's bad when you dream so big that you forget reality. And I think it's sad people when they are like my sister and when they are spoiled and then they hit reality, then they get so depressed they don't believe in those dreams anymore. So either way, I feel sad for that because I feel like you should hang on to your dreams, but remember to work. um, because I do believe dreams come true. I do believe you can get lucky. I believe you have to work for that luck, but I also believe you can get lucky sometimes. So yeah. Um, so I feel bad for her because I know one day that's coming, whether it's going to be me that ends up helping her or someone else, or she comes to me or somebody else. I don't know. Uh, I just know I feel bad for her because the day will come, and I don't think it's going to be easy on her, and I don't think it's going to be easy on the person helping her. Might be me, might be somebody else, but I'm going to feel sad for that person. And if that person's me, I'm just gonna feel very, very frustrated. But I'll still love her and work through it. But so you get it. But yeah. Um, this is why I would hope parents do not spoil your kid. Don't stop caring about them though, because the effects can be just as bad, just a different route. Um, just as emotionally bad, except instead of feeling entitled, they feel like they deserve shit. Um, so I think there's a balance with parents that you got to keep. Just remember to be loving, but do not show favoritism. And I think one of the key things you can figure out if there's favoritism um, is listen to your kids, listen to the way they joke, listen to their sense of humor. Um, you know, growing up, uh, there was a way to figure out my mom to figure out that she was showing favoritism. And it was really a simple way. you know, for one, if you ever hear the words coming out of your mouth, why did you make them And if you mention some emotional response like angry, then stop right there. Because now you're placing someone else's self control on someone else. Nobody has control over anyone's self control but oneself. Never, ever, ever look at your kid and say, why did you make them? They did not make them. That child themselves had a lack of self control, and they need to be told, you need to have more self control. And if you ever hear your child making jokes like, something of an indication that might say that this one is the favorite, listen, because it's probably more true than you know. Uh, and jokes are often just the truth that we laugh at because we need to, or we'll go nuts, because it is true, though. Like a joke my other sister would say very often, making fun of her baby sister. Uh, she would react, she would do reenactments of us, and she was really good at it too. It was hilarious. Um, you know, when she would reenact me, she would usually focus in on something and then tuck her hair behind her back and just look like a really big nerd. I'm like, okay, that's how I look like. Okay, I look like a really big nerd. I mean, real big nerd. Um, and she's probably right. I did focus on something because I would analyze things. I liked looking at things like insects, and I would stare at them. They were fascinating. Okay, I mean, looking at those little tiny mouths and those little legs, it was just fascinating. And then when it came to our baby sister, she would reenact how if our baby sister had asked something and it maybe for once in her life mom told her no, she would then go, "But it's me, so and so." Um, yeah, so like it's her. Things should just be given to her because it's her. How do you say no to me? So that's what I mean. Keep an eye out for little details, things that might show or signal to you you're having favoritism. I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose. I don't think you're doing it on purpose at all. I don't think my mom did it on purpose. I kind of think that they're the baby, so even as they grow older, the parent still psychologically sees them as the baby, and they're forgetting that the baby is 5 years old now. They are now old enough to have certain maturities that they need to advance to. They're 10 years old now. Now they have other maturities they need to advance to. They're 11, they're 12, they're 13, they're 14. And if you keep focusing on that they're the baby and that the oldest needs to be more mature, you're now expecting the oldest to have more maturity than what they have right to have. In fact, they end up being as mature as somebody in their 20s or their 30s. And then you have the baby who is having a lack of responsibility. So now they are having, now they end up like my sister. Absolute lack of concept of responsibility and blaming everything around them but themselves for, the mess around them sometimes. Um, which is why you got to be careful because you're setting them up for that. And I'm not saying you don't love them, and I'm not saying you're purposely doing it. I don't think you are. I don't think my mom did. But, it still leads to that. And I don't think any parent wants their kid being led to that. And that's the only reason why I'm trying to give signs that you might want to watch out for. There's been times where, I've been crying and, I've asked my mom, why do you favor Mara? Why is it she can do this, but I can't? And this is where I think my mom is manipulative. I think she knew in those cases, and she'll just completely deny that she ever gave my sister lineage that she did not give me. Um, So yeah, like I got myself a bikini that was my size, and yes, I'm a big girl, but I don't feel like I need anybody's permission to feel beautiful or confident. So yeah, I got a bikini because damn, I feel cute in it and I like it. And my mom just seemed very not so happy about it. Um, yeah, it didn't reveal a lot of skin. I mean, it was just like a bathing suit, pretty much, just that little strip of skin that's showing. And my sister, though, had a bikini a couple of times that it was like bra and panties. I mean, it was tiny, and yet didn't bat an eye about it. So stuff like that. Like if you have things when your kids are pointing out stuff to you, like maybe even bluntly say, "Why is this sibling is your favorite? Why do you allow them to do this, but you won't allow me to do it? Why do you not get them in trouble for something, but I get in trouble for something?" And if they ask you this, trust me, these are sincere things. So, do not immediately get mad at your child or think they're just angry or throwing a fit. They're having real, true emotions and they're hurting. And they want to know why that one is the favorite. So just watch for these, I guess you could say, social cues or stuff like that. And, maybe there's other things that, are being said or done by your children. And, just listen then. Because these are, little key evidence for you to recognize if you're having a favorite child or that you psychologically still see that child as the baby, and you're not giving them the proper growth that they need, and you're giving other ones overgrowth than they need. um, so just watch for these things because I'm sure and I know that you care about your kids very, very, very much and you want what's best for them. But we're all human, and even parents, they have little mess up moments, and I don't think that makes them bad parents. I think it just makes them human. But I think any parent, if they knew how I was growing up or how my sister grew up, they would want to know what could they have done. So I'm just trying to give that advice from my point of view of what it was like growing up with my baby sister. Things you might want to look for or watch out for if you have kids that are young right now. If you see any of them cracking up jokes about how this one expects things, then there's the one that's getting spoiled. And another way to know if you're the one spoiling them or somebody else is pay attention to who they're joking about. If they're joking about you, then yes, you're the one spoiling them. But if it's not you but the other parent, then you can let yourself off the hook because apparently you're not in the butt of the joke, so you're actually not the one spoiling them. So yay you. Um, and maybe they're not cracking jokes about you. Maybe they're cracking jokes about strangers or grandparents or other family members or friends. So you can get an idea of who is spoiling who in your children and who's getting favored. So, I wouldn't worry then if you're not the butt of the joke because it means you're not doing anything. But somebody else might, which you can't control. That's not your fault then. And your kids will know that you're not picking favorites. But if you are the butt of the joke or the other parent, then you might want to try to look into getting some sort of therapy or doing something you can to change that because whether it's you or another parent, that's just not healthy. Um, because I know people want what's best for their kids, and I'm not going to try to tell anybody how you should parent your kids because that's your business. This is just advice from me about how I grew up and my experience and how it turned out. But everybody, it's your own business, and I hope anybody who's watching this, you have a good day, a good afternoon, or good evening, and goodbye now. So yeah, done.